Mangwanani Mwalilepo Fukenjani Class. Welcome to Africa. Good morning. This is your portal into Africa's potent stories. Today, we turn to the SADC Summit. Africa CDC celebrates a breakthrough malaria treatment for infants, while Caribbean communities embrace African culture with renewed pride. We unpack the burden of rising fuel costs across Africa, which will be followed by the comprehensive Zimbabwe report delivered by Talent Gore. In economic news, we spotlight Isuzu's African ambitions and Uganda's landmark gold mine. Watch Africa Good Morning on DSTV 2 at 5, GOTV 25, 1up2.com, and NTV Africa on YouTube. My name is Ashwin Berry. Top story shortly. Let's get into our top stories on Africa Good Morning. The Southern African Development Community Summit convened in Antananarivo under the theme Advancing Industrialization, Agricultural Transformation, and Energy Transition for a Resilient SADC. Delegates discussed accelerating regional integration through strengthening industrial capacity, modernizing agriculture, and promoting inclusive energy transition. Madagascar's President Andre Rojolina assumed the rotating chairmanship from Zimbabwe's President Emmerson Mnangagwa and described the gathering as historic. It marks the first time Madagascar hosted the summit since joining the bloc 20 years ago. Rajolina stressed the urgent need to drive industrialization and boost intra-regional trade. The regional bloc has set an ambitious goal of raising the manufacturing sector's share to 30% of GDP by 2030. Currently, manufacturing attributes 11%, with the South Africa recognized as the main powerhouse. The summit's emphasis on transforming agriculture reflects ongoing concerns about food security, while the energy transition agenda aims at ensuring inclusivity in the shift towards cleaner, sustainable sources. Now, leaders agreed that building resilience requires bold strategies that integrate industrial advancement with sustainable practices, keeping citizens at the center of development. Moving on. The Africa Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, Africa CDC, has welcomed approval for the first malaria treatment specifically developed for newborns and infants weighing under 5 kilograms. The new infant-friendly formulation marks a breakthrough in addressing a critical treatment gap for Africa's youngest. 8 member states, Burkina Faso, Cote d'Ivoire, Kenya, Malawi, Mozambique, Nigeria, Tanzania, and Uganda contributed to clinical trials demonstrating Africa's leadership in health innovation. Developed through a partnership between Novartis and Medicines for Malaria Venture under the PAMA Africa Consortium, the formulation has been approved by Swiss regulators, with rapid approvals expected in the 8 African countries. Until now, no approved treatment existed for children in the weight group, forcing reliance on modified doses that carried risks. The dissolvable sweet-flavored treatment is designed for safe administration with breast milk. Novartis plans to make it available on a primarily not-for-profit basis. Africa CDC confirmed it will work with member states to integrate the treatment into national health systems, train healthcare workers, and ensure equitable access through regional procurement as well as regulatory cooperation. Moving on. A renewed embrace of African pride is evident across the Caribbean, with communities expressing stronger connections to their heritage through food, clothing, and culture. In St. Lucia, Nigerian Dr. Augustine Ogbo balances his medical practice with running African chops, a takeaway he launched in 2022 after friends requested Nigerian cuisine. His customers enjoy egusi soup, fufu, and jollof rice, which he says resonates with a sense of shared ancestral origin. Since arriving nearly a decade ago, Ogbo has observed a significant rise in interest in African culture. This trend extends beyond St. Lucia, as people throughout the Caribbean seek deeper connections to African roots, particularly highlighted on Emancipation Day in countries such as Trinidad and Tobago. Institutions and governments across both sides of the Atlantic are also building stronger economic and cultural ties. The movement signals a wider phenomenon of rediscovery, where the legacy of the African continent is honored, celebrated, and reinterpreted in daily life. For many, the resurgence is not just about tradition, but also about identity, belonging, and pride in heritage. Moving on. The impact of high fuel prices is reverberating across Africa, driving up the cost of transportation and daily living. Agricultural produce heavily reliant on long-distance transport becomes more expensive, leading households to face both higher food prices and commuting costs. Businesses in farming, manufacturing, and transportation face increased production expenses, frequently passing them on to consumers and fueling inflation. For residents in remote areas without public transport, rising fuel costs heighten isolation, limiting access to markets, schools, and healthcare. Urban workers are also spending more of their income just on travel, reducing disposable earnings and deepening poverty. Governments face mounting challenges balancing subsidies and import costs, with social discontent rising in several nations where fuel hikes have previously sparked protests. According to global petrol prices, the Central African Republic currently records the highest fuel price in Africa at $1.858 per litre, followed by Senegal, Zimbabwe, Cote d'Ivoire, Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Malawi, Kenya, Morocco, and Uganda. With fuel acting as a lifeline for economies, the burden of rising costs continues to widen inequality, limit growth, and threaten stability across the continent. Those have been our top stories on Africa Good Morning. Shortly, we'll be talking to Talent Gore as she delivers the Zimbabwe report. But prior to that, it's the weather. To talk to Talent Gore as she delivers the Zimbabwe report. Talent Wamakase, welcome to the show. All right, Talent, let's get into your first story. Zimbabwe is making strides in debt clearance with $170 million payout.
Yes, Zimbabwe's ongoing area clearance and debt resolution have gained fresh momentum, with the Finance, Economic Development and Investment Promotion confirming the payment of over $170 million to external creditors in the first half of 2025. The latest statistics from Treasury indicate that payments covered legacy debts, commitment to development partners, and obligations to major multilateral financial institutions. Authorities said the payment forms part of the Second Republic's broader strategy to restore relations with global lenders and unlock new avenues for development finance. Speaking at a strategic meeting in Harare, Treasury officials said settling these obligations was a strategic move meant to restore trust and pave way for fresh investments. In December 2022, government moved to establish the structured dialogue platform, bringing together creditors and development partners for continuous engagement on area clearance and debt resolution. So in this regard, the government is moving in the positive directions to try and mend relations with global lenders. As we've seen right now, since the beginning of the year, they have at least paid out 170 million United States dollars, and they are promising that they are going to be paying those lenders some more monies in the coming months. So this is a positive direction that the Zimbabwean government is taking to ensure that they actually unlock more partnership with global lenders and other businesses within the world.
All right, Talent. Now, Zimbabwean schools were shining at the SADC competitions in South Africa.
Yes, Zimbabwe's representatives emerged as the standout performers at the recently concluded 2025 Primary Schools Debate Challenge competition held in South Africa. The prestigious event organized by the Primary Schools Debate Challenge brought together 405 participants from 5 countries, including Mozambique, South Africa, Kenya, and Botswana. National Mara, the director and convener of the competition, said the competition featured 17 schools from Zimbabwe competing against competitive rivals. So they came out victorious, and this is quite huge for the Ministry of Primary and Secondary Education in Zimbabwe. It shows that they're doing something right, they're doing something in the right direction when they go competitions and they actually come out victorious. So these competitions, they are actually held each and every year. So Zimbabwe has been one of those participants who actually participate at these competitions.
All right, Talent. Now, one of the top private schools in Zimbabwe is currently embroiled in a bitter court battle against a Chinese company.
Yes, Brighton Country School, which is one of the top private schools in in Zimbabwe, and it is located in Chegutu, is locked in a fierce legal battle against a Chinese-owned Shuntai Holdings over the construction of a lime and cement factory just 497 meters from the school boundary, with parents, teachers, and education leaders warning of a dire health and environmental consequences for the pupils. In a circular to parents last week, the school's board of governors detailed a timeline of events since February when Shuntai first informed Brighton of its plans. Despite resistance from the school, parents and other stakeholders, construction is pressed ahead in open defiance of a High Court order suspending work at the site. Meanwhile, parents and pupils have endured worsening conditions at the school, including clouds of dust, fumes, loud blasting, and heavy machinery noise. Apparently, the school took the company to the High Court, and the company was ordered to suspend all construction work being done at the site. But the Chinese company, has since defied that court order, and it is moving on with its operations. So now the parents and the school in particular, they are now furious, and they're saying that the construction which is being done close to your school is causing environmental and air pollution within that area. So now we're just waiting to see how the High Court is going to take this, since the Chinese company in particular, has since defied the order given by the High Court to suspend all operations.
And in your last story, Talent, Zimbabwe has imposed a livestock movement ban. Why is this?
Yes, in an urgent response to a rapidly spreading foot and mouth disease outbreak, the Zimbabwean government has imposed an immediate nationwide ban on all livestock movement. The drastic measure announced last week coincided with the dispatch of 300,000 free vaccines to high-risk zones as authorities race to contain the highly contagious virus threatening the nation's cattle head and ambitious agricultural goals. The outbreak has been confirmed in the Gutu district, part of Masvingo and Chivu, situated in the country's southern and central region. FMD poses a severe threat to cloven-hoofed animals, including cattle, goats, pigs, and sheep, causing fever, blisters on the mouth, feet, and tits. Left unchecked, the disease inflicts major production losses and devastates farmers' livelihoods. So the government has since banned the traveling of livestock within the country so that they try to contain the foot and mouth disease.
All right, Talent, thank you very much for delivering the comprehensive Zimbabwe report.
You're welcome, and thank you very much for having me.
It's always good having you on Africa. Good morning. Let's head into the economic news. All right, we dive into the economic news on AGM. Isuzu Motors South Africa plans to position its local operations as the central hub for commercial truck production across the African continent, aiming to increase volumes and locally sourced components, according to President and CEO Billy Tom. Speaking in Gqeberha on August 15, Tom confirmed ongoing discussions with Japan to shift some vehicle production from Japanese facilities to South Africa. Trials have already been conducted for manufacturing trucks and their bodies locally, although certain truck components continue to be imported from China and Middle East. The South African plant currently produces Isuzu D-Max pickups, assembles medium-heavy and extra-heavy commercial trucks, and imports the MUX SUV for African distribution. Export volumes for trucks remain limited, but pickups reach over 30 African countries, with West Africa identified as the initial target market for expansion. Tom emphasized growth ambitions, noting African sales have risen from 15% to 22 and 23% of total volumes, with a goal of reaching 45%. Leveraging the African Continental Free Trade Area, the company seeks to overcome low active trade under zero tariffs, while local automotive policies and rising imports from China pose challenges to South Africa's production targets and industry sustainability. In our next economic news story, Uganda has inaugurated its first large-scale gold mine, a $250 million project in the country's east owned by Chinese investors. Now, President Yoweri Museveni presided over the opening of the Wagagai gold mining project, which spans just over 9 square kilometers in Busia district. The plant is expected to process 5,000 tons of ore per day and produce about 1.2 metric tons of refined gold annually. This compares to Uganda's total domestic production of just 0.0042 tons in 2023. Now, the project refines gold to 99.9% purity and aims to position Uganda as a significant exporter. Gold exports earned the country $3.4 billion last year, contributing 37% of export revenue, though much of it came from re-exports. Museveni emphasized the importance of value addition across minerals, including gold, lithium, and tin. He also underscored that revenues will be used to invest in infrastructure such as power stations and Uganda's planned €2.7 billion standard gauge railway aimed at reducing export costs through Kenya. The development signals Uganda's intent to expand its mining industry and enhance its role as a regional gold producer.
But this one now we can jewelry, any other. I think even the computers use some gold. How can Africa get out of poverty with such squandering all resources? You are getting less money. You can't use that material in other industries. You are losing jobs because these people are now they are going to employ. They are talking of 5,000 with President Ruto. With President Kagame, we shall launch a very powerful steel factory there in Sororo. Using the iron ore from Kabale, using the coal from Mombasa. So Uganda can quickly become a highly industrialized country because we have got everything.
Irongomed is a leading distributor, working in partnership with NewMed and WestMed to meet the comprehensive needs of the Namibian healthcare sector. As a partner pursuing sustainable global healthcare, we offer industry-leading medical solutions through our key focus areas, which include pharmaceuticals, orthopedics, ophthalmology, surgical devices and capital equipment, as well as a well-established scientific laboratory division. In healthcare, Irongomed is committed to making a difference. What about you?
Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning throughout the broadcast. Let's have a look at some of the highlights from today. Madagascar hosts historic SADC Summit focused on growth. Africa CDC celebrates breakthrough malaria treatment for infants. African heritage flourishes across the Caribbean. Rising fuel costs deepen economic and social strain across Africa. Isuzu eyes South Africa as continental truck manufacturing hub. And of course, Uganda opens its first gold mine with a Wagagai Chinese company. Thank you for staying with Africa Good Morning. Today, we also brought you the Zimbabwe report, which means tomorrow you get the Botswana report delivered by Rorisang Mohojwe. Of course, we'll still give you the stories from broader Africa on DSTV 285, GOTV 25, oneup2.com. You have to spell it out, ONEUPTWO.com. When you click oneup2.com and you click echo, you can watch this episode again and other Africa Good Morning episodes at your own time. You can also watch other NTV programs. So oneup2.com echo, where prime time is anytime, is a good place to spend your time. From me, Ashwin Bedi, and the Africa Good Morning team, Sweda Shakanaka.
Missed your favorite show? Who cares?
Bring on the clock, not your problem.
Your screen, your rhythm.
Because at NTV, we believe that time should follow you. Echo lets you watch your favorite shows whenever you want to.
For free, no strings, no schedule. Only the stories you love waiting for you. When you feel like it, check out oneup2.com and click Echo, where primetime is anytime.